Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. Andrew Musgrove here. Hope you guys are doing well. Give the video a thumbs up and hit subscribe and share this across your social media. Your support, as always, is much appreciated. Newcastle United 4, Leicester City 0. And it just proves I know absolutely nothing about football because I was fearing this game. I was fearing Jamie Vardy. I predicted Newcastle United picking up a point. But when I was driving into the city today, I said to my pal that I was fearing a Leicester City win. I just really thought the new manager bounce, the positive performances that Ruud van Nistelrooy had got his team to put in over the last two games. It filled me with a little bit of dread. Newcastle United's form of late had been up and down. And it was a massive game for Newcastle United. It felt like a must-win game, especially with Brentford coming up on Wednesday and the gap that was starting to form in the table. This felt like a game Newcastle had to win if their season is going to amount to anything. And with the pressure of that, like I say, the form of Leicester, the good feeling around Leicester, as I drove in, I thought it could well be 3 points to Leicester City. Thankfully, slipped there. It was 3 points to Newcastle United, and we had nothing to worry about. Newcastle United were clinical, especially in the second half. Leicester City were awful throughout. I was really surprised just how bad they were. I thought they would come here at St James Park and really give Newcastle United a big task. And they just didn't. They didn't turn up at all. They weren't in for the challenges. They were slow. They were laboured. There was no reaction really to any of the goals that were conceded. But as poor as they were, Newcastle United were good, very good in stages, and you have to beat what's in front of you. It doesn't matter how bad the opposition is. You still got to go out and beat them, and that's what Newcastle United did. I did fear at half time though. Newcastle United won up thanks to Jacob Murphy. They'd had chances in the first half where really you would argue Newcastle could have gone into the interval 3 or 4 goals up, and I just felt a little bit of fear that the second half performances that we've seen this season from Newcastle United, where they've wasted chances in the first half, they come out in the second half and they're dreadful. You think Brentford, you think West Ham. I thought that would come back again and bite them on the behind, but thankfully by the hour mark the game was done, it was dusted. A few more chances to add to the 4 they'd scored, didn't happen, but thankfully we had nothing to worry about. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from today's game, is that Newcastle United performed in the second half, and that's really key, because actually Leicester came into this game, I think they're about 8th in the table when it comes to second half performances, and Newcastle United I think were well below that. So that could be a really big turning point in their season. Can they not only dominate in the first half as they have done in quite a lot of games this season, although they've not taken the chances, can they come out in the second half and really assert their dominance? And today they did. Going back to the first goal, Jacob Murphy got it. It was a really lovely goal, wasn't it? Set piece, Tonali involved, Anthony Gordon involved. Gordon putting the ball to the edge of the box and Murphy rolling it in to the back of the net. And that is a training ground move, and it has come off, and it's always really nice to see. Good for Jacob Murphy as well, because he'd missed a couple of chances just before that. One you would argue should have been in the back of the net, and there was maybe a few groans and moans from the Gallagher, from the rest of the crowd. He'd missed chances against Liverpool, he'd missed a header against Brentford. There'd been a little bit of criticism on Jacob Murphy, and I think his reaction to the goal, he cupped his ear and ran over to the corner, maybe says he was aware of the criticism. It looks like it maybe served as a bit of motivation for him. I think really important to get on the score sheet, and hopefully that can be the starting point for him to take these chances, because he's getting in the positions, he's just not managing to put the ball in the back of the net. And he scores that against Liverpool, he probably wins Newcastle the game. Scores against Brentford, they probably don't want to lose 4-2 and maybe even pick up a point at the GTEC. So it's little moments like that where Murphy has received a bit of criticism, but a great performance from him today. He gets 2 goals, could have had 4 maybe, had the chances, got taken off, couldn't get his hat-trick, but that could be a big moment for him in the season. But I guess really, his reaction comes with a little bit of a warning. He can do that kind of celebration, he can bite back at the critics, but he has to score or put in top performances every time he goes onto that pitch. No doubt in his commitment, no doubt in his effort. He is living the dream at Newcastle United and he puts everything into it. But the bottom line is he's missed golden chances, and it's all good giving it back to the critics, and I'm all for that. Those who've moaned and complained of entitled to that opinion as well, and I'm sure he accepts that. But unless you're scoring goals or creating chances week in, week out, it's a bit of a risky thing to do. So maybe someone can show him that over the next few weeks to see whether you've done that, you've got to live up to it now, and hopefully he will do. Hopefully, scores the winner against Brentford and goes on to score against Ipswich. And that's the other key point from this performance today. We've been here before. You can celebrate today's performance and win. You really can, because Newcastle were excellent for most of the game, and they were superb for some of it. As we said, Leicester were terrible, so they're going to come up against harder challenges than Leicester City, but you can only beat what's in front of you. But we have been here before, where they've put in good performances this season, and they picked up 3 points, and it's a good win. But then they've not built on it, and I think that's what we need to see. Consistency is absolutely key here. So I'm just saying, in isolation, celebrate today, celebrate the performance. But unless Newcastle United are in the semi-final of the League Cup, having beaten Brentford on Wednesday and have picked up all 3 points at Portman Road, then today's performance and result becomes something of a kind of a frustration, because then you're asking, we're there, you're performing against Leicester really well. Why can't you do that against Ipswich or in a similar battle for safety? It's like what I said, after the Liverpool game. You can perform like that against arguably the best side in the world at the moment, but you can't do that against West Ham. You can't do that against Brentford. So we need to see Newcastle go on a good run of results. Hopefully this is the starting point. I'm just a little bit wary of saying it, because I've said it, I think, at least twice, maybe 3 times before this season, and it hasn't happened. After that great run of results against Arsenal and Chelsea and Nottingham Forest, a lot of people said, Newcastle United are back. And I just said on the podcast, let's just slow it down, because are we back? We're working towards it, but I didn't think we were ever back. And then the results since has sadly proven me right. But today's performances, it shows you what Newcastle United can do when they're on top form, when they're really getting at the opposition. And to be quite honest with you, they didn't have to get out of second gear. So imagine what they can do when they go up a few levels. But we have to see it consistently. And in many ways, it sort of puts a little bit more pressure on Eddie Howe, because normally you would take a win against Leicester, you would take a semi-final place after beating Brentford, and then you would take the win over Ipswich. But then I'm like, well, actually, he's seen that run of results and performances before. As I said, Chelsea, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest. It's then, can you sustain it? Can you then welcome Villa on Boxing Day and beat them or get a point? And then can you go to Old Trafford and pick up points there? And then I think it's Wolves. You'll have the FA Cup and the League Cup in between that, or just after that. So a lot of winnable games coming up. And what we need to see, I think, from Eddie Howe and Newcastle United is a run of 5, 6 really good performances, and maybe an unbeaten run of 6 where you pick up 4 wins and 2 draws. That's what matters here. We don't want to be looking back next Saturday, and saying we're there. You beat Leicester, you've lost to Ipswich. Not good enough. We need to see them beating sides, battling for their lives. Hopefully they can do. There's no reason why they can't. They've shown how good they are today. I just hope that we see a sustained run of performances. Now that's what Newcastle United need. Other talking points from today's game, well, the midfield 3, Bruno, Joelinton and Tonali, excellent again. I think Joelinton will miss the Ipswich game because he picked up a yellow card, but Tonali looked so at home. I think, in the first half, there was a lot of misplaced passes from quite a lot of players, Tonali as well, but as the game went on, he really came into his own. He looked strong, he looked natural in that position. The chap sat next to me just turned and said he's worth every penny, isn't he? And I think what it was maybe a turn and a pass backwards, but he's looking like a top Premier League player. And again, the more games he gets, the more minutes he gets, all the better for him and Newcastle United. Bruno on the score sheet, something we've been saying for a long time. More goals from Bruno, please. Hopefully that's a starting point for him. Isak as well, 3-3 now. He's really keeping amongst the goals. An easy header for him. He had a couple of chances in the first half, which he didn't take. One in particular, he just kind of scuffed at the keeper, which was disappointing. But him and Bruno really linking up well, and you wonder if that's because of that kind of little tweak in the midfield where Tonali's maybe just sitting a little deeper and Bruno's going forward and being able to pick the pass. I think we are seeing a more creative Bruno, which is brilliant. And Isak, he should have got the rewards today. He didn't quite, but he did get his goal, which is fantastic. Another strong performance, I thought, from the defence. Dan Burn kept Jamie Vardy quiet. I was worried about Jamie Vardy, but he had, I think, one moment where he tried to flick it over Burn, and Burn dealt with it. Easy as that. But Leicester didn't turn up, didn't offer any threat at all. It was quite an easy afternoon, I thought, for the defence, which which is good for them. They probably needed that. It's a clean sheet as well. Martin Dubravka had nothing to do. I think there was one save where he gets down low, but other than that, nothing at all really. Lewis Hall, excellent again going forward, man of the match contender, good in the tackle, but he's looking like an absolute star and he's still so young. Unbelievable. Livermento didn't do anything wrong. Trippier came on for him. What else did we have? William Masula, I thought was really important that he got 20 minutes or so. He had a big physical battle against their number 5. I think that'll really put him in good stead for the future, because that's him learning the ropes, that's him getting a little dig in the back, that's him getting an elbow here or there. You want those physical battles. Good experience for the kid. But I have to say, he didn't look out of place. When he came on for Alexander Isak, there was a few moments, a few touches, there was one good run, but he's leading the line, he's gesturing for the ball. He didn't look out of place at all. So I wouldn't say I was impressed with him, but again, I kind of saw glimpses of a player there, and I think the experience of today will be very, very good for him, and hopefully we'll see a bit about him against Brentford, although I think Eddie Howe will play his strongest side, and that includes Alexander Isak. But yeah, brilliant performance from Newcastle United against a very poor Leicester City side. I'm just praying now, I'm keeping everything crossed that this is the starting point and we go into that new year with victories, or at the very least unbeaten, but we go in hopefully with victories, good performances, and Newcastle can shoot up the table here. They really, really can. 23 points now. Forest are on 28, so that's 5-point difference, but the gap's not that bad. Pick up a couple of wins, you can beat Ipswich, beat Villa, you'll be right up there. And they have to if they want to keep in touch with those European spots. Today was a really important win for that. Really important win to get that momentum hopefully going ahead of Wednesday. A chance to be in the semi-final of the League Cup. Fingers crossed to get through to that, and then it's Ipswich on the Saturday. But a big week ahead for Newcastle United. Started in perfect fashion with a 4-0 win over Leicester City. Hope you guys enjoyed the victory. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video, brought to you by NordVPN. Click the link in the podcast description box to get a discounted offer on your NordVPN plan and keep yourself safe while using public Wi-Fi, and a host of other benefits as well. Give the video a thumbs up. Head over to chroniclelive.co.uk as well. Look out for the last Just Take 3 as well. Episode 20 tomorrow with Sam Mulner and myself. A little bit of a quirky one. Managers that we'll take on a desert island and actually physically take, to help us survive. Something a little bit different. And I'll see you guys on Monday for the Monday show with me and Aaron Stokes. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Fantastic day from Newcastle United.